r/AskReddit. What's your homeowners association horror story? Hoa said there was a surplus of funds and sends out a survey to find out what people want the money spent on: swimming pool, basketball court, etc. A few months later we get a notice that they are raising the dues because they need more money to afford all the new amenities we requested. The entire board was voted out the following year. Holy duck, what a bunch of scammers. I just got one of these. They want to apply it to next year's taxes. Nope. I want a rebate check, Moffus. They sent us a series of nasty notices to remove the dead tree in our front yard. The tree had lost all of its leaves and it was unsightly. Apparently. The catch is that they sent us this notice in November. You know, like fall, when perfectly healthy trees lose their leaves. We pretended we didn't understand which tree they were talking about until spring, when the tree magically came back to life. We are also going to fine you for leaving all that strange white stuff in your yard in the winter. No one will stop me from masturbating in my yard. No one. When we were privately renting in a townhome community, the dumpster had video surveillance so that the Hoa could fine anyone breaking the rules as far as what we were allowed to dump. One day both myself and So get a Rishi call from our property manager alerting us that Hoa has fined us $250 for illegal dumping. The property owner will have to pay it and we will have to reimburse him. After racking our brains about what we could have possibly thrown out that wasn't allowed, we decided to call up the Hoa to see if we could see the video. They would either transfer us to someone else that would hang up, or their hours would change to where no one would answer the phone, or they'd promise to get the video to us the next day, etc. This went on for about 2 weeks. Finally my So got to see the video while I was at work. I texted him to find out what was on it, and he said the video was of a middle-aged Asian lady throwing out a bunch of furniture. It was the stupid property owner's freaking wife. The ensuing call to the property manager must have been kind of satisfying though. The property owner actually ended up firing her a while later because we got mail from the eyes for him and gave it to her to give to him. Apparently he never got it. Edit. Fired the property manager. Sorry. Our Hoa hired a management company to run the day-to-day business. What that meant was a guy would ride around taking pictures of petty bullet and mailing violations to homeowners. I had so many quarrels over nothing. Well, it turns out the Hoa didn't have any teeth behind the violations since the bylaws didn't allow fines. Somebody came up with the bright idea to start imposing fines to ensure compliance. That is when I ran for and won the vice presidency of the board. Another gentleman who was fed up with this crap ran and won as well. We didn't have the power to dissolve the Hoa, but we decided the next best thing was to paralyze it. Without us in attendance, the board could never reach quorum to conduct business. And they never did. A true hero. A real human being. When we rented, the Hoa would report to our property manager and then the property manager would call us to let us know what we'd done wrong. We were reported for so many things that had nothing to do with us. We got a call that we can't have a grill on our front porch. We didn't even own a grill. We got told that we are only permitted one car parked on the street. Our other 2 cars need to be parked in the garage. We only owned 1 car at that time. We got a call that neighbors were complaining that our dogs were barking all hours of the night. We didn't have dogs. This house didn't even have a yard. The weirdest is when our property manager calls and says, "You need to move the doormat that you have leaning against your house." Husband goes outside and finds a doormat leaning against the neighbor's house. But whoever reported it, wouldn't it have been easier to just knock on the door and say something? The entire 3 years we lived in this house, the neighbors across the street used their porch as storage. As homeowners in a different neighborhood, we were written up for not taking Christmas lights down in a timely manner. It was mid-January and we'd been gone for my grandpa's funeral. So we took them down right away as soon as we got the write-up. No warnings as is procedure, just straight to "here's a write-up. You need to go before the board where they'll decide if you have to pay a fine." I alerted them lights were removed. They got back to me saying we didn't remove all decorations. I had a snowman on the door that says "let it snow" and snowflakes in the window. Winter decorations, not Christmas. They were super snotty about it until I pointed out they'd broken their own procedure by not giving us warnings and that we felt targeted. They dropped it. A year and a half ago we redid our landscaping. The landscaper had pavers sitting in the front of the house. So it was obvious something was up. We got a letter in the mail telling us to cease and desist as we hadn't gotten HOA approval to landscape our backyard. The letter included a photo. The angle of the photo clearly showed that whoever had taken it had gone into our backyard to take it. They are not allowed to do that. I emailed them pointing this out. They dropped it. Not necessarily horror stories, but shows what a pain in the butt an HOA can be. I'm not American. So excuse me if this is a dumb question. Why do you have to obey HOA? Don't you own your houses? How are they going to make you pay a fine? I've also heard that sometimes external companies are hired to play the role of HOA. It really makes no sense to me. If someone bought a property they should be able to do anything they want in it, as long as it's legal. When I was looking to buy a house, I told the realtor, outside city limits. No HOA. Man. Those were good decisions. Fined multiple times and threatened with a lien by the HOA because we would not water our grass during a major drought season. It was cheaper and easier to fight the HOA since the city and state passed regulations banning constant watering and green grass. The city had Google-like vans with cameras that'd be driving neighborhoods to catch violators and find them. Super illegal. HOA can't make any regulations requiring homeowners to break city/state/federal laws or regulations. If only the dumbduckery was that easy to stop. Everyone in our neighborhood received fines for leaving garbage cans at the road. It was trash day, but you didn't put it out 39 seconds before the truck arrived and remove it 13.6 seconds after. Shame on you. For going to work in line the HOA Reich. I only feel bad when I'm carrying the garbage bag down to the curb the night before garbage day cause I didn't bring it up since last week. When my brother first moved into his condo, quiet hours were 10 PM 6 AM Sunday Thursday. Never really enforced. A couple years later 2 board members sold. 2 new came on board. One being a 60Y/O man. Quiet hours are now 8 PM 6 AM Sunday Thursday. 10/6 Friday Saturday. The 60Y/O guy will knock on your door if he thinks you are too loud. It's a very young metro neighborhood. Loft complex. The old guy came to his door to complain a couple weeks ago BC he thought the pizza delivery guy was too loud. Pound on his door at 2 AM every night complaining that he's making too much noise when he says he was sleeping. Tell him he was screaming in his sleep. Don't let the man sleep until you have crushed him. Found the career player from r/Pata Revenge. My HOA decided that my trim needed to be painted right now. Threatened a $100 a month fine if it wasn't. The trouble is that it was January and I live near Chicago. As I was buying the paint, the salesperson keeps telling me that the paint won't dry. It will just freeze and fall off within 6 months. I was selling in the spring anyway, so I didn't care. Painted the trim in a temperature of 7 degrees F. Duckers. Ducking hell. The speed with which they expect things to be done is ridiculous. Like fair enough someone has their bins overflowing for 2 weeks but this. I bet if he needed something from them, it's probably never done with any sense of urgency. I think I've posted this before, but I'm still fuming over it years later so here goes. I went away for a long weekend and left after work on Thursday. Late Friday afternoon, my water heater burst in the attic of a 3-story home and flooded my entire townhouse. When my neighbor got home from work he saw gallons of water running from underneath my garage door. When he realized I wasn't home, he tried to find my phone number and when he couldn't, he called the HOA to notify me. The lady that answered said that since it was after business hours, it was 5:01 at this point. The matter would have to wait until Monday. My wonderful neighbor ended up calling the non-emergent police line and they came and shut my water off from the street. When I got home Sunday morning, my entire house was damaged and I could see my attic from my basement. After a massive panic attack and a frantic call to my insurance company, we started the process of repairs. The cherry on top was that I needed to have a dumpster placed in my driveway and a moving pod to remove what was left of my furniture while they began drying out the house, and I got a visit from the hoa. They didn't like how unsightly my home had become and wanted these items removed from my driveway. I essentially told them that they could take their complaints and go duck themselves with them. I got a little revenge too because I stopped paying their stupid fee since they couldn't find me before 6 months and I was moving in less than 5 months. I'll never own another home with a hoa ever again. Duckers. Some people are so petty. I bet if an earthquake happened and your house fell in a pit they would complain about the hole. Hoas in Houston were conducting inspections and finding people that were flooded a week after the hurricane. I'll see if I can find that article again. Not mine, but one of my good friends has a rather insane hoa. They actually used rented surveying equipment to determine that his clothes line was 1 inch taller than his fence and fined him several $100s for some stupid structure beyond the fence rule they had. Same hoa has someone walking around actually measuring the length of grass with a ruler and issuing warnings for mowing. Some people specifically join an hoa because they want all their neighbors following those kind of dumb rules. The kind of people that took being a hall monitor too seriously when they were a kid. Ducking, like and subscribe.